Blake Lively is in full-blown meltdown mode after The Hollywood Reporter just exposed her like never before. What started as a routine industry feature turned into a career-destroying hit piece, sending shockwaves through Hollywood. Now, as Blake scrambles to control the narrative, the internet is tearing her apart, and it's brutal. Blake Lively thought she had control of the "It Ends With Us" controversy, until The Hollywood Reporter threw a grenade right into the middle of it. On February 22nd, THR dropped a jaw-dropping cover story that didn't just report on the drama, it exposed it. The cover illustration? A brutal depiction of Blake Lively launching a slingshot at Justin Baldoni, turning what should have been a serious legal battle into a full-blown joke. If THR's goal was to make Lively look completely ridiculous, mission accomplished. And oh, did Blake lose it. Her team immediately lashed out, calling the cover sexist and claiming it played into harmful stereotypes. Seriously? A hand-drawn caricature was suddenly the hill she was willing to die on? Instead of addressing the allegations that she brought to light, Blake went full damage control, screaming outrage instead of presenting actual facts. And let's be real, when you start blaming a cartoon, you're losing the argument. The problem? This strategy backfired spectacularly. Instead of rallying behind her, the internet dragged her through the mud. The memes, the sarcasm, the relentless Twitter threads, it was brutal. Fans who once blindly supported her started asking real questions. Why was she so focused on an illustration instead of the actual case? Why wasn't she providing more evidence? And most importantly, what was she hiding? THR's cover wasn't just a hit piece. It was a warning shot. It signaled to Hollywood that the media wasn't going to just accept Blake's version of events without scrutiny, and that's why she's panicking. If one magazine cover could shake her this badly, imagine what's coming when the real receipts drop. Blake Lively's lawsuit against Justin Baldoni was supposed to be a career-defining stand for justice. Instead, it's unraveling faster than one of her red carpet gowns. The "It Ends With Us" actress has accused Baldoni of making unwanted advances and creating a toxic work environment on set. But here's where things get messy. Instead of producing hard evidence, Blake's case is built on vague accusations and a whole lot of missing context. And trust me, the receipts that do exist, yeah, they're not working in her favor. Let's break it down. Blake originally filed her lawsuit with a batch of text messages, supposedly proving Baldoni's problematic behavior. But when she submitted an amended version of the lawsuit, poof, several key messages were suspiciously removed. Why? Legal experts were immediately suspicious, calling it a strategic omission, a fancy way of saying she deleted the parts that made her look bad. Now, why would someone do that unless those texts directly contradicted their claims? And if that wasn't enough, Baldoni came out swinging with a $400 million lawsuit against Blake, her husband Ryan Reynolds, and their publicist Leslie Sloan. That's not just pocket change, that's a career-ending news. His claims? Defamation, extortion, and invasion of privacy. Yeah, you heard that right, extortion. According to Baldoni, this wasn't just a case of he said, she said. It was a full-blown smear campaign designed to destroy his reputation and force him out of his own movie. So now, Blake's in a no-win situation. If she doubles down, she risks even more scrutiny. But if she backs off, she's admitting that this wasn't about justice. It was about power. And Hollywood is watching. Studios, directors, and producers are paying attention to how she handles this. Because let's be real, nobody wants to work with someone who fabricates allegations to get their way. Meanwhile, the internet is eating this up. Twitter and Reddit have turned into detective headquarters, dissecting every piece of evidence. And let me tell you, public opinion is not in Blake's favor. Just a year ago, she was Hollywood royalty. Now, she's looking like Amber Heard 2.0, and we all know how that ended. The truth is, this lawsuit is falling apart at the seams. If Blake doesn't have solid evidence, this could be one of the biggest self-owns in Hollywood history. But guess what? It gets worse. Because Justin Baldoni's legal team just introduced a wild card that completely changes the narrative. Justin Baldoni isn't just fighting back. He's exposing how this entire case might be built on a massive misunderstanding. From the very beginning, Blake Lively framed her accusations as a Me Too moment. A powerful actress standing up against a problematic male director. But they're flipping the script, arguing that this entire controversy isn't about harassment at all. It's about cultural differences being blown way out of proportion. And the evidence? Oh, it's damning. Here's the deal. Justin Baldoni is a Baha'i, a faith that emphasizes openness and emotional expression. His legal team argues that his behavior, things like hugs, enthusiastic conversations, and a deeply personal leadership style, was completely normal within his cultural and religious background. In fact, Baldoni has always been transparent about how his faith influences the way he runs his set. But rather than acknowledging this, Blake allegedly twisted his personality into something sinister, and now it's backfiring big time. Baldoni's legal team has receipts too. emails, text messages, and even notes from an intimacy coordinator meeting that Lively conveniently skipped. These documents paint a very different picture. One where Baldoni was actively trying to create a respectful and comfortable environment, while Blake was making behind-the-scenes power play. And if that sounds like a stretch, wait until you hear this next. Because Baldoni's team isn't just defending. They're accusing Blake of using the lawsuit as a power move to gain control over the film. Multiple sources on set claim that Lively was constantly clashing with the production team, demanding creative changes and allegedly strong-arming her way into executive decisions she wasn't supposed to. And guess, this lines up perfectly with the timeline of her law. She didn't file her complaints when the supposed incidents happened. She did it after she lost control over the film's direction. So now the question is, was this ever about workplace misconduct? Or was it about Blake trying to force Baldoni out so she could run the show herself? Because if that's the case, this isn't just a legal battle. It's a full-on Hollywood power struggle disguised as a scam. Meanwhile, the internet is tearing this case apart. Twitter threads, Reddit investigations, and YouTube breakdowns have shifted the conversation entirely. What started as a cut-and-dry harassment allegation is now being questioned at every turn. The overwhelming consensus, Blake's case just doesn't end. And the longer this goes on, the worse it gets. But it still gets worse. Because while all this is unfolding, another Hollywood name just got pulled into the mix. And if the rumors are true, this could completely change the trajectory of the case. Just when you thought this case couldn't get any messier, Jenny Slate's name suddenly entered the... And now, things are really spiraling out of control. Reports have surfaced that Slate, who starred alongside Blake in It Ends With Us, allegedly filed an HR complaint against Justin Baldoni. Nobody knows exactly what the complaint is. Is it connected to Lively's accusations, or is it something completely unrelated? Because depending on what it says, this could make or break Blake's case. For now, Jenny Slate has stayed silent, which is only adding to the mystery. If she was supporting Blake's claims, wouldn't she have spoken out? Wouldn't Lively's legal team be using Slate's complaint as a key piece of evidence? Instead, we have radio silence, which makes it seem like this might not be the bombshell Blake's team was hoping. And if her complaint turns out to be minor or totally unrelated, it could completely undermine Lively's entire... But here's where things really get... One of the biggest accusations in Lively's lawsuit centers around an intimate slow dance scene that she says Baldoni improvised without her consent. According to her, Baldoni leaned in, kissed her forehead, and touched her in ways that weren't in the... a major violation of boundaries. But there's video evidence of the... And it tells a very different... In the footage, Lively isn't just willingly participating. She actually initiates some of the movements. And suddenly, her entire complaint about this scene falls. Because if she was truly uncomfortable, why didn't she stop? Why didn't she tell the juror? Why did she film multiple takes without objection? Instead of looking like a victim, she now looks like someone trying to rewrite history to strengthen her. And it gets even. Baldoni's team has produced notes from an intimacy coordinator meeting, which Lively was supposed to end. But the purpose of... to discuss the very same slow dance scene that she later claimed was inappropriate. If she was so uncomfortable, why didn't she show up to the meeting designed to ensure everyone was on the same page? This is the kind of evidence that destroys credibility. So let's connect this. Lively accused Baldoni of inappropriate behavior during... Baldoni's team proved that she fully participated, and there's video evidence contradicting her claims. And she skipped a crucial meeting where she could have voiced her concerns before. That's not a strong... It's a... Now, the big... What's Jenny Slate's role in all... If her HR complaint backs Blake's claims, it could be the one thing keeping this lawsuit. But if it's undid, or worse, proves Blake's accusations are exaggerated, this case is going down. Either way, the pressure is mounting, and Blake is running out of options. And speaking of running out of options, Blake's entire career is now on. If this lawsuit collapses, Hollywood might never trust. So what happened? Well, She has no idea what... Blake Lively went from Hollywood's sweetheart to the center of one of the biggest scandals. Her entire career is hanging by. What started as an allegation-fueled lawsuit has now completely flipped, with more and more people questioning if this was ever about us, or just a desperate attempt to control a film she was losing. And Hollywood doesn't take kindly to actors who weaponize their... Behind the scenes, sources say Blake is in full-blown... Studio execs are watching every move she makes, and the last thing they want is to get caught up in another high-profile legal... And the Amber Heard effect is still fresh in Hollywood. When public opinion shifts against you, your career can... If Lively loses this case or is exposed as someone who fabricates allegations to manipulate power, it could spell the end of her A-list status. And here's where things take an even mess. Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift just got dragged into the... Blake's husband and her... two of the most powerful people in Hollywood are now caught. Baldoni's lawsuit doesn't just... It actually names Ryan Reynolds as a... Because Baldoni claims that Ryan and Blake's publicist, Leslie Sloan, were actively involved in spreading false allegations to damage his reputation. If that's true, Ryan could face serious legal consequences. And this isn't just some petty salute. We're talking multi-million-dollar lawsuits and potential career And then there's Taylor. Now, Taylor isn't named, but sources say that behind closed doors, she's been heavily involved in And with her massive influence, that means this case could very easily become a major PR nightmare for Sue. If Blake's lawsuit collapses, people are definitely going to asking, did Taylor Swift help push a narrative? And that's a question her PR team does not. Meanwhile, the public has already started to take. The moment that deleted text messages were exposed, people stopped blindly believing her side. Now, every social media thread, every YouTube breakdown, every major news outlet is questioning her versions. And the court of public opinion can be just as ruthless as the actions. So, what's next for... Well, she's running ends. The more her legal team scrambles, the... Studios are already reconsidering future with her. If she loses this case, it won't just money. It'll cost her. If she somehow wins, she might be able to salvage The Hollywood Reporter. Baldoni's team is hitting back than ever, and public support is disappearing. She still has no idea what else. This story is from over. The next few weeks could decide Blake Lively's entire Hollywood. Will she on top? Or will this be the scandal that destroys her career forever?